There are mornings when you wake up and feel like nothing has changed. Not in the air, not in your body, not in the silence around you. It's as if time has moved forward, but something inside is still living yesterday. Not a memory, a vibration. You get out of bed, pour your coffee, look in the mirror, and deep down, you already know what kind of day it will be. The same thoughts, the same reactions, the same subtle weight in your chest. Bruce Lipton says, 95% of our day is commanded by subconscious programs acquired before the age of 7. This means that what we call the present is, in truth, an echo, a loop, a subconscious memory running like a program in the background, so familiar that we no longer question its presence. You may believe you're choosing, but your body often chooses first. It remembers faster than your mind. A smell, a phrase, a look, and you're already reacting. Not because you want to, but because something in your nervous system was trained to respond that way long ago. The past isn't back there. The past is now. Stored in your biochemistry, in your postures, in the tone of your thoughts. The mind may dream of change, but the subconscious seeks only one thing: survival. And survival loves what is known, even if it hurts. Joe Dispenza once said, if you wake up and think like yesterday, feel like yesterday, and act like yesterday, your future will be a copy of the past. This is not poetry. This is biology. Every thought triggers a chemical. Every emotion reinforces a circuit. And slowly, the body becomes addicted to its own emotional history. The pain you've already felt becomes your compass. The sadness becomes your anchor. The fear becomes your familiar. You are not reliving the past. You are reproducing its frequency every day. But here lies the key. You don't need to erase your past. You don't need to pretend it never happened. What truly sets you free is the ability to interrupt its vibration, to disidentify from it, to stop letting your history write your tomorrow. This is not about forcing positivity or faking happiness. It's about becoming aware of the program and gently, consciously choosing a different one. You are not your memories. You are the one who observes them, the one who can feel something new. This video is not an escape from pain. It's a door, a mirror, a guide back to the part of you that knows. You were never meant to repeat. You were meant to evolve. And evolution begins not by forgetting the past, but by no longer vibrating from it. Sometimes, before a thought has even formed, your chest tightens, a sigh escapes, the stomach knots. There is no visible reason, but your body already knows. It has felt this before. It's not reacting to the present, it's remembering. Not through images or words, but through chemistry, through sensation, through a deep, silent language that bypasses logic. Emotions that were never fully processed do not disappear. They sink into the nervous system and become filters, biochemical lenses that distort how we see, hear, and feel today. You might think you're responding to the moment, but often you're responding to a vibration planted long ago. A look that reminds you of rejection, a sound that reactivates fear, a silence that echoes abandonment. And it happens without your permission. Your body goes into autopilot. It doesn't ask what you want, it repeats what it knows. It feels before it thinks. It reacts before it chooses. And in that space, the present becomes hostage to an old emotional pattern. There is something tragically comforting about the familiar. Even pain can feel like home when it's all you've known. Guilt, anger, shame, grief, they settle into the body like old furniture, worn but recognizable. And because they are familiar, the nervous system stops resisting them. It accepts them as part of the self, but they are not you. They are remnants, echoes, habitual frequencies. The past, then, is not a collection of stories stored in the mind. It is a chemical reality imprinted in the now, a physical presence that keeps repeating itself under the illusion of normalcy. The body is not trying to sabotage you. It is trying to protect you, but from a danger that no longer exists. What it needs is not more control. What it needs is new information, new emotion, a new experience that says, it's safe to feel different now. And that shift doesn't begin in the brain. It begins in the breath, in the space between one reaction and a new choice, in the gentle realization that maybe, just maybe, you're not broken. You're just remembering too much, too often, in too many ways. There is a quiet frustration that grows when you try to think differently, but nothing changes. You repeat affirmations, you visualize light, you hold on to hopeful thoughts, yet deep within, something resists. And that resistance is not failure, it's biology. The subconscious mind, as Bruce Lipton reveals, does not speak the language of logic or words. It responds to repetition soaked in emotion. It responds to feeling, not phrases. You can't reason your way into healing. You must feel your way there. When you say, I am safe, but your chest tightens, the body hears the contradiction. When you whisper, I am worthy, but shame still lingers in your spine, the subconscious receives mixed signals, and that incoherence is not your fault. It is the echo of a nervous system trained to survive, not to believe. Positive thinking, when disconnected from emotional truth, creates a vibrational dissonance. It becomes noise, a fragile mask over deeper, unspoken pain. Bruce Lipton emphasizes that real transformation requires more than mental effort. It requires access to deeper brainwave states, alpha, theta, where the subconscious is open, quiet, listening. These are states of relaxation, not force, of softness, not effort. In these moments, just before sleep, just after waking, the doorway opens, and that is when a new message can enter, gently, like a breath. But to change the program, it is not enough to think new thoughts. You must feel them as if they were already true. You must let them touch your cells. This is not about pretending. It is about coherence. When thought and emotion move in harmony, a new signal is sent, not just to the mind but to the entire body. And this signal begins to rewrite the script, not with noise, with presence. The journey then is not to think positively, but to feel differently while thinking. To invite the heart into the process, to let your biology believe what your mind alone cannot prove. Because the subconscious doesn't respond to words. It responds to vibration, and the vibration of truth, felt deeply and repeatedly, begins to build a new home inside you. One breath at a time, there is a quiet burden in trying to heal everything. The idea that you must revisit every wound, understand every trauma, and mend every scar before you can move forward. But what if this is not the path to liberation, but another loop, another form of attachment? Some pain does not need to be examined again and again. It needs to be released from its vibrational hold. It is not about forgetting what happened. It is about recognizing that it no longer defines who you are becoming. The spiritual path can sometimes become a mirror maze, where healing turns into identity and trauma becomes a badge. You begin to believe that unless every shadow is dissolved, you cannot step into the light. But Bruce Lipton invites a different truth. Perception shapes biology. The way you see your past influences the chemistry of your present. You do not need to relive the trauma to transform it. You need only to shift the lens through which you interpret it. This does not mean bypassing pain. It means refusing to make pain the center of your being. It means allowing the past to be a part of your story, but not the author of your future. When you hold on to the idea that you must heal every detail, you stay tethered to it. You reinforce the same neural pathways, the same emotional reflexes, the same energetic imprints. You keep the vibration alive by constantly returning to it. Deactivation is not denial, it is detachment. It is the quiet decision to stop feeding a frequency that no longer serves your evolution. To let the old program fall away, not because it was insignificant, but because you are no longer willing to sacrifice the present for the repetition of what already hurt. This is not spiritual laziness, it is spiritual maturity. The kind that says, I honor what was, but I no longer carry it. To deactivate the past is to stop asking it for permission to be happy. It is to stop kneeling before it for validation. It is to walk forward, not because everything is resolved, but because you finally understand that resolution is not always emotional. Sometimes it is vibrational. Sometimes it is simply the choice to no longer resonate with who you were when it all began. Transformation rarely comes as a lightning strike. More often, it arrives as a quiet rhythm, a breath repeated, a feeling nurtured, a ritual embraced. The nervous system, like a child, learns not through intensity, but through consistency. It doesn't require grand gestures. It requires safety, repetition, and emotional coherence. That's why short, intentional cycles can reshape what years of thought alone could not. 7 days, 7 themes. 7 moments each morning and night when the subconscious is most open, most tender, most willing to receive. Imagine the week not as a sequence of duties, but as a sacred journey of inner alchemy. Each day, a seed. Each night, a watering. The first day, safety. You teach your body it is no longer in danger. You breathe slowly and feel the earth beneath you. You whisper, not to convince, but to remind, I am safe now. On the second day, value, not the kind that seeks approval, but the deep sense of inner worth that cannot be negotiated. Then comes trust, not in outcomes, but in your ability to meet life as it is. Forgiveness arrives on the fourth day, not as a favor to others, but as a release of the energetic debt that keeps your soul heavy. On the fifth, gratitude, not forced but honest, even if all you can thank is the silence that stayed when everything else left. Then worthiness, and knowing that you don't need to earn love, that simply being here is enough. And finally, vision, the capacity to see not just with your eyes but with your energy, to feel, even for a moment, who you're becoming. Each of these days is anchored in a ritual. A few minutes in the morning, a few before sleep, a soft breath in the belly, a gentle visualization, a phrase spoken with feeling, a hand over the heart. This is not about discipline, it is about devotion. You are not forcing a new self. You are remembering the self beneath the noise, the one who already knows what peace feels like. Bruce Lipton reminds us that we don't change by chance, but by design, and the design is emotional, vibrational, cellular. Repetition is not just a habit, it is the language of transformation. When you practice this daily, you begin to write a new script in the very language your subconscious understands. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, the old frequency fades. Not with resistance, but with reverence. You don't destroy the old program, you outgrow it, one vibration at a time. There is a subtle weight that guilt carries, not loud but constant. It wraps around your choices, your silence, your memories. It whispers, "You should have known better." And regret follows closely behind, replaying scenes that no longer belong to this time. These emotions masquerade as responsibility, as conscience, but often they are just familiar forms of self-punishment. They are not guiding you toward healing. They are anchoring you to an identity that keeps you small. When guilt becomes chronic, it is no longer a moral compass. It is a loop, a vibrational pattern that convinces you that suffering is noble, that remorse is a form of penance, that by feeling bad long enough, you'll somehow undo what was done. But the body doesn't respond to moral narratives. It responds to energy. And the energy of guilt is heavy, stagnant, contracting. It blocks the breath. It clouds the heart. It dims the inner light that longs to move forward. Regret, too, disguises itself as debt. But in truth, it often signals fear. Fear of changing. Fear of letting go. Fear of becoming someone who no longer fits the story of the wound. The ego uses these emotions not to free you, but to hold on. Because as long as you feel bad about who you were, you can't fully step into who you are becoming. And that is its strategy. Keep you safe by keeping you the same. Bruce Lipton reminds us that our biology reflects our beliefs. And if you believe that guilt is a virtue, your cells will hold on to shame as if it was sacred. But you were not made to carry eternal blame. You were made to learn, to evolve, to expand. Guilt may have been necessary once as a mirror, as a lesson, but when it becomes your home, it becomes your cage. Letting go is not forgetting. It is choosing not to be controlled by an emotional pattern that no longer serves your becoming. The ego will resist. It will say, "Without guilt, who are you?" And the answer is, someone lighter, someone clearer, someone ready. Because to truly release the past, you must release your attachment to the version of you that keeps feeding it, not out of denial, but out of love, out of deep, embodied compassion for the one who did the best they could and is now ready to be free. There comes a moment when the clothes you once wore no longer feel right, not because they are torn or ruined, but because you've outgrown them. They protected you, covered you, gave you a sense of self, but now they pinch at the shoulders. They restrict your breath, and though familiar, they no longer reflect who you are becoming. This is how the past feels when it clings to your identity, like an old garment, once necessary, now limiting. You try to move, to stretch, to step into new spaces, but something pulls you back. Patterns repeat. Words return. Emotions tighten. And it's not because you're doing something wrong. It's because your inner world is still dressed for a season that has already passed. Living from old stories is like walking into summer wearing layers of winter, heavy, protective, but out of sync with the warmth that's trying to find you. There is no shame in this. The past served you. It gave you structure, defense, understanding, but is not your size anymore. It does not stretch to hold your current vibration. And the body knows it. The body feels the incoherence, the misalignment between who you were and who you are now ready to be. That tension is not punishment. It is invitation. It is the soul's way of saying, it is time to change your emotional clothes. This change is not abrupt. It is not a violent shedding. It is a recognition, a soft awareness that whispers, I don't need this anymore. Not because it was meaningless, but because it already did its part. And now, you are called to walk lighter, to feel new textures against your skin, to sense new thoughts settling gently into your cells. The body accepts change through sensation. When you allow yourself to feel new emotions, calm, joy, gratitude, you signal that it's safe to grow, that the new vibration fits, that you no longer need the old layers of defense. This is not forgetting the past. It is remembering that you are more than it, bigger than it, freer than the version of yourself who once needed to hold on so tightly. Like all garments of time, the past must one day be folded with grace and left behind with love. The mind often searches for a breakthrough, something grand, sudden, definitive, a lightning bolt of change. But the subconscious does not respond to fireworks. It responds to rhythm, to quiet consistency, to emotional signals repeated with coherence and care. Just like a child who learns through patterns, your inner programming is reshaped not by how loudly you declare change, but by how gently and consistently you live it. Many begin their journey with hope, with passion, with the fire of new intentions. But by the third day, something feels dull. The results are not immediate. The feelings are not as strong. And so they stop, not because the change wasn't working, but because they were taught to measure transformation by speed, not by depth. The truth is, the most profound shifts are invisible at first. They don't shout, they hum, softly. Bruce Lipton teaches us that the subconscious learns through repetition combined with emotion. This is not about repeating mantras mindlessly. It's about aligning thought with heart, about sending signals that are believable to your body. When you repeat a truth, I am enough, I am safe, I am free, with a feeling that matches, you are not just saying words. You are laying down new neural paths. You are speaking a language your cells understand. The results may not come as dramatic events. They come as subtle recognitions, a moment of peace where there used to be tension, a decision made from trust instead of fear, a conversation that no longer drains you. These are not small things. They are signs that your field is changing, that your body is listening, that the program is no longer in charge. Presence is. This is the secret. Not power, but persistence. Not force, but frequency. Change lives not in intensity, but in what you are willing to feel again and again until your system begins to believe. Repetition is not failure. It is devotion. And every time you return to the same breath, the same truth, the same moment of stillness, you are rewriting yourself, not through effort, through alignment, through love, through coherence. There is a profound difference between being stuck and being in a loop. One suggests imprisonment, the other repetition. And repetition can be changed, not with force, but with frequency. Not by fighting the old, but by introducing something new, quietly, daily, honestly. Bruce Lipton reminds us, you can reprogram your subconscious and transform your life without changing your genes, simply by changing your beliefs. And beliefs are not just thoughts. They are emotions lived long enough to become identity. The past is not a prison. It is a script, and you are not the character trapped within it. You are the author. You can pick up the pen. You can write differently. You can breathe in the present as if it was sacred ground, because it is. Every moment you choose to feel something new, you send a signal to the universe. Not a cry for help, but a declaration. I am becoming. Joe Dispenza says, change your state of being and reality will have to reorganize to reflect it. This is not a metaphor. It is a map. Your internal shift does not wait for external permission. It begins now in silence, in sincerity. You are not asking the future to come. You are becoming the version of you who can meet it. Stop begging the universe for a new life while vibrating with the energy of who you no longer are. The door is not locked. It's just waiting for your frequency to match its opening. And you do that not by trying harder, but by vibrating truer. You let go of the past, not because it was wrong, but because you are ready for what is more aligned. In the end, it is not the past that holds you. It is your habit of carrying it like a name tag, a definition, a home. But the self that wore that story is dissolving. You are being rewritten, not through effort, but through awareness, through devotion, through the courage to feel different and call it truth. So try, not forever. Just for 7 days, just for this moment. Let yourself feel new. Let yourself be unfamiliar. Let the field respond, not with miracles, but with mirrors. Mirrors that show you, You've always been more than what you survived. You've always been the one capable of becoming.